My name is Caleb Messer, and I'm a construction management undergraduate student at East Carolina University. My research is on crack sealants and highway infrastructure. Concrete is the most popular building material to date due to its versatility, availability, and affordability, and it can withstand large compressive forces, and which makes it a staple material in load-bearing assemblies and applications. So, unsurprisingly, concrete is also one of the main materials used in the American infrastructure system, being used from anything from roads, sidewalks, bridges, foundations, and much more. Although concrete has a very high compressive strength, it suffers from a very low tensile strength, which often develops cracking in the concrete, which can compromise the integrity of an entire assembly, putting people in danger. So my research is to determine which types of sealants are the most effective in repairing cracks of different types in concrete. And to do that, I did a literature review of State Department of Transportation's, otherwise called DOT's, and to analyze not only the types of sealants being used, but also the best application methods and testing procedures that should be outlined by the NCDOT in their future updates of their specification. So the objectives of my research. The first objective is the first objective for each state Department of Transportation that I research is to identify their inspection methods and how they identify the cracks. And then I will identify the sealant types, the surface preparation, the application method, curing process, and quality control methods for each sealant type. And then I will analyze the advantages and disadvantages of each sealant type. So the materials I used was only two things mainly. The first being Microsoft Excel, which is the database I use to organize my research. As you can see right here, here's a closer view. So this is the organization of my database. I state the name of the DOT I research, and then I identify their inspection method, and then for each of the three main sealant types that I identified, I laid out the surface preparation, the application methods, curing specs, and the quality control and testing specs. So, other than Microsoft Excel, the only other thing I needed was access to state DOT internet databases, which is free and open to everyone. So, the method first I choose a state, and each of the 10 states I researched was chosen to represent a different climate, most of which, 7 out of 10 of which, were all bordering North Carolina, so they have a similar climate and environment to us. So once I review the construction specifications and field manuals in each DOT database, I would identify these 6 objectives which are stated earlier, and then I put them in my database. So the results I found 3 main types of sealants. The first being high molecular weight methacrylate, which is a relatively new sealant composed of methacrylate monitor, an initiator, and a promoter. And it is low odor, low viscosity, and has a very high flash point. So penetrating sealers are any silane, siloxane, or silicones that penetrate the concrete and form a chemical barrier without altering the surface appearance of the concrete. Most of which I found used in the field are silicones. And then third thing I found was epoxy injection, which epoxy is a polymer resin that is known for its excellent bond strength and quick curing time. Liquid epoxy is used for high pressure injection, and epoxy paste is used to seal the surface of the cracks. The common procedures for the 3 I will outline briefly. HMWM, high weight methacrylate. It is typically used on horizontal surfaces, applied via mobile spraying equipment, and spread with brooms and squeegees. And after it's placed, sand must be laid over 20 minutes after application. Penetrant sealers. All cracks less than a half an inch are sewn to a width of at least a half an inch, and is typically applied via an air or airless sprayer, and it's applied from the lowest point to the highest point of the crack. Epoxy injection. So first, before you can inject epoxy into a crack, the surface of all the cracks must be sealed with an epoxy paste. And then, as you can see in this photograph, you spread these injection ports out along the crack and use a high pressure injector, typically 200 psi, to shoot the epoxy into the crack. So, the pros and cons of each sealant type. So, high weight molecular weight methacrylate is best for horizontal cracking, and it can cover a large area and penetrate deep into the surface without any pressure. However, it requires the most manual labor and is not very good for vertical cracking. Penetrant sealers do not alter the surface appearance. They're breathable and they withstand high amounts of movement. However, many states require backer rod to be placed, which has a higher cost and it's less effective at preventing chemical attack. Epoxy injection has the best penetration, it's best for vertical cracking, and has a high bond strength. However, the surface must be sealed separately and you must drill and install injection ports. That is all I have for you today.